How's it going, Met fans? The Mets played Monday evening against the Minnesota Twins. They opened the three-game series. The Mets went into this series 10-5, while the Twins were 5-7. They played in the frigid cold at Target Field in Minnesota. Holmes made the start for the Mets. He went up against the Twins' Joe Ryan. The Mets were coming into this winning 2 out of 3 from the A's in Sacramento, while the Twins were coming into this game losing 2 of 3 to the Detroit Tigers and are 3-7 in the last 10 games overall. Let's get into it. Top of the first inning, Francisco Lindor started things off by banging one off the right center field fence for a leadoff double. Juan Soto was up next and was called out on strikes for the first out. Pete Alonso worked the count full before drawing a walk that brought up Brandon Nimmo. 2 runners on, 1 out, and Joe Ryan was able to strike out Nimmo, who foul-tipped the ball into the catcher's mitt for the second out. Now we have Mark Vientos up with 2 outs, 2 runners on, and he grounded out to Carlos Correa at shortstop, who threw over to Ty France at first to complete the first out. Now we have Mark Vientos up, 2 runners on, 2 outs, and he grounded out to Carlos Correa at shortstop, who threw over to Ty France at first to complete the third out. So Holmes took the mound in the bottom of the first inning, and he looked different this game. Twins leadoff batter Edwin Julian struck out an 0-2 changeup in the dirt for the first out. Byron Buxton was up next, and he was caught looking at a 2-2 sweeper for the second out. And then Willie Castro struck out on 3 pitches, whiffing on a changeup to end the first inning. Joe Ryan, not to be outdone by Holmes, mowed down the Mets in the top of the second inning. He struck out Jesse Winker, Luis Torrens, and Tyrone Taylor all swinging. Moving on to the bottom of the second inning, and we had Matt Wallner leading off for the Twins, and he grounded out to Alonso, who tossed the ball over to Holmes covering first for the first out. Carlos Correa, who was almost a Met, was frozen on a 2-2 fastball middle away for the second out. Then Trevor Lenach hit a hard ground ball up the middle to Tyrone Taylor in center field for a base hit. So the Twins now had their first hit. They had a runner on first, 2 outs, Ty France at the plate, and Holmes made quick work of Ty France, striking him out on an 0-2 sinker that dove out of the strike zone to end the second inning. Luis Angel Acuña got the start of second in this game, and he led off the top of the third inning, and he walked on a 3-1 pitch. That turned the lineup over to Francisco Lindor. During the at-bat, Acuña stole second for his 4th stolen base of the year, but then Lindor popped up in foul territory, and the third baseman Brooks Lee caught it for the first out. Now we have Juan Soto with a runner on second and 1 out. He got into yet another 3-2 count, but he grounded out to the pitcher. Joe Ryan threw over to Ty France at first, and that was the second out. So now we have 2 outs for the Mets. Acuña still in second, and Pete Alonso is at the plate, and he lines a single to left field. That drives in Acuña for the first run of the game. Brandon Nimmo then followed with Alonso at first, 2 outs, and he grounded a 1-2 pitch to Carlos Correa at shortstop, who threw the ball across the diamond to Ty France for the third out. Given a 1-0 lead, Holmes went back to work in the bottom of the third inning, and he got Twins third baseman Brooks Lee to line out to Nimmo left for the first out. Catcher Christian Vasquez then chased a high 1-2 fastball out of the strike zone to strike out and record the second out. Edwin Julian then grounded out to Acuña at second base, thrown over to Alonso to end the third. On this cold night, I'm sure the defense behind Holmes was very appreciative of attacking the zone. He was throwing strikes, he was working quickly. The quicker they can get out of the field and back in the dugout, the quicker they can utilize the space heater to warm up if needed. It was very cold. Most of the players had on protective clothing underneath. Some wore hoodies like Juan Soto, and he really didn't look very comfortable this night. He didn't look very happy to be out there playing this cold. So when you have that kind of weather, the defense, they want to be on the field for as little time as possible. So Holmes working quickly and throwing strikes, that had to be very appreciated by his team. So now we move on to the top of the 4th inning, and Joe Ryan is working against Mark Vientos, and he got Mark Vientos to fly out to Matt Wallner in right field for the first out. Jesse Winker, who really hasn't gotten anything going, popped out to Correa at second base for the second out. Ryan then struck out Luis Torrens, getting him to chase a 2-2 sweeper just off the outside corner. And now we move to the bottom of the 4th inning. Byron Buxton led off the bottom of the 4th inning for the Twins and struck out for the second time this game. Holmes got him to swing over a 3-2 sinker that dropped off the table. Willie Castro then hit a weak ground ball to Vientos at third, who threw it across the diamond to Alonso for 2 quick outs. Matt Wallner then connected on the low and inside sweeper. Typically, it's the sweet spot for your lefty. It's the pitch that they love. He lined it to right field in the corner. Fell right at the base of the wall and then just stopped. It didn't kick back. So Wallner was able to get a triple on the play. Holmes didn't get rattled though. He got Carlos Correa to line out to Lindor on a 3-2 pitch, and that ended the 4th inning. So Joe Ryan is still on the mound, and Tyrone Taylor strikes out to lead off the top of the 5th inning. Luis Angel Acuna, who walked in his previous at-bat and stole second, hit a line drive down the right field line for a double. Francisco Lindor walked the count full, but Ryan pulled the string on a 78-mile-an-hour sweeper. Lindor swung in front of. He struck out for the second out. Juan Soto then made the 3rd out, popping up on a 2-2 pitch to Willie Castro at second base. So now Clay Holmes got in a little bit of trouble in the bottom of the 5th inning. He walked the leadoff batter, Trevor Lenach, on a 3-1 pitch. He then clipped Ty France on a pitch up and in. So now we have runners on 1st and 2nd, no one out. That brought up the 3rd baseman, Brooks Lee, and Holmes let both runners advance on a wild pitch. So now we have 2nd and 3rd, no one out. Brooks Lee did walk on a 3-1 pitch, so now the bases are loaded, bringing up Christian Vasquez. And Vasquez reached down and got a 1-1 sinker down and out of the strike zone. He had a soft liner right at Brandon Nimmo left. It was ruled a sac fly as Lenach scored to tie the game at 1. So now we have France and Lee holding at 1st and 2nd because Nimmo didn't throw the ball home. He hit the cutoff man to keep them where they are. Smart play, Nimmo. Edwin Julian then worked the count full before grounding the 9th pitch of the at-bat towards Vientos. Vientos took 5 steps to his right, stepped on 3rd base, kind of falling back off balance, tried to make the throw to 1st base. The runner was safe at 1st. So we got the 2nd out on a force at 3rd. Vientos is going to need to get a better feel for a play like this, how far away from the bag he is, how hard the ball is hit, the speed of the runner, etc. He had no business trying to make the throw to 1st base. Thankfully, he didn't throw it away. Which, if he did throw it away, it would have led to Lee coming home and the Twins taking a 2-1 lead. So now 2 outs, runners on 1st and 2nd. Byron Buxton came up again. Buxton was just what Holmes needed to get things going again. So he struck him out for the 3rd time this game on a 2-2 changeup that he swung right through, and that ended the 5th inning. So Mark Vientos, who I've been saying is showing signs of breaking out of this funk that he's been in, lined a 2-1 pitch to right center field for a double that scored Alonso. Jesse Winker is not showing those same signs, popped up to 3rd baseman Brooks Lee for the 2nd out. Luis Torrens then hit a soft comebacker to the topper, but he just threw the ball completely over 1st base's head and into right field. That scored Vientos. Torrens pulled into 2nd base. Tyrone Taylor then pulled an inside pitch right to Lenach in left field, and that was the 3rd out. So now going into the bottom of the 6th inning, the Mets are up 3-1. Holmes got pulled from the game. Huascar Brazaban is now on to pitch for the Mets. Brazaban has really been a key player for this Mets bullpen. He gives them another reliable arm that can go multiple innings. He made quick work of the Twins in this outing. He got Willie Castro to line out to Soto and right. He struck out Matt Wallner looking at an 0-2 fastball up and in. And then he got Carlos Correa to ground out to Alonso, tossing to Brazaban, covering up 1st base to end the 6th inning. So the Twins make a pitching change of their own. Going into the top of the 7th inning, Jorge Alcala came on in relief of Justin Tapa. Luis Angel Acuna drops a bunt down the 3rd base line. Alcala fields it. He tries to rush his throw. He almost hits Acuna. The throw is short of 1st base. It hits the dirt. It pops up. It goes into right field. So now we have a bunt single for Acuna and an error allowing him to move over 2nd base. So we have a runner on 2nd base, no out, bringing up Francisco Lindor. Alcala got Lindor to fly out to Lenach in left field. Acuna had to hold, unfortunately, so now we have runner on 2nd with 1 out and Juan Soto at the plate. This time Juan Soto hits a deep fly ball to right center field for his 2nd home run, a 2-run homer giving the Mets a now 5-1 lead. After a 3-2 walk to Alonso, Brandon Nimmo then grounded into a double play, hitting it right to Ty France, who starts the 3-6-3 double play. So Brazaban's still on the bottom of the 7th inning for the Mets, and Trevor Lenach leads off with a 3-1 walk. But after turning a double play in the top half of the 7th inning, Ty France hits into a double play of his own. Hit a ground ball right at Lindor, who tossed to Acuna at 2nd, who then made the turn and threw to Alonso to complete the 6-4-3 double play. Now the Twins' runner was erased. There's 2 outs, no one on. Brooks Lee comes to the plate, and Brooks Lee grounds a 2-1 sinker right to Acuna, and that ends the 7th inning. Cody Funderburk came on to pitch the top of the 8th inning for the Twins, replacing Jorge Alcala. He got Mark Vientos to strike out looking on a cutter that caught the outer part of the plate for the first out. Jesse Winker was then called on strikes on a batter time violation for the second out. And then Luis Torrens hit a ground ball to Ty France, who completed the out, tossing the ball to Funderburk, covering at first base. And that takes us to the bottom of the 8th inning. So Reed Garrett came on to pitch the bottom of the 8th inning after Brazoban gave the Mets 2 excellent innings, and he started his inning off by striking out Christian Vasquez and Edwin Julian for 2 quick outs. Then Byron Buxton, hoping to avoid striking out for the 4th time, flew out to Tyrone Taylor in center field. And that ended the 8th inning. So Funderburk still in the mound for the Twins. Top of the 9th inning, he gets the Mets 3 up, 3 down. Tyrone Taylor grounded out to Correa at shortstop. Acuna grounded out to Willie Castro at second. And Francisco Lindor flew out in the triangle between third base, shortstop, left field, going towards the left field line. Acuna made a nice play to end the top of the 9th. So now we move on to the top of the 9th inning. Ryan Stanek on for the Mets. Willie Castro up for the Twins, and Willie Castro back down for the Twins. Struck out looking at a 1-2 fastball in the outside corner for the first out. Matt Wallner, who clearly was not bothered by the cold on this night, singled on a fly ball to left field. Stanek had a little issue with his control facing Correa, but managed to get him out on a 3-2 pitch, flying out to Nimmo for the second out. Then Trevor Lanach, the Twins' last hope, looked like he just wanted to get off the field, and back in the dugout, took a 2-2 fastball in the inside corner for strike 3, and that ended the game. So some takeaways from this game. The Mets win this game 5-1. They moved 6 games over 500. They're now 11-5 on the year. Clay Holmes got the win. He moves to 2-1. But I thought we saw a different approach when it came to the starting pitching from Mendoza. When it comes to Holmes and Canning in particular, it felt as if he was giving them opportunities once they were in trouble to work out of it. And so far they have not rewarded him for that. During this game, Holmes did pretty well into the 5th inning. Then I feel like the wheels were coming off. We were lucky to only give up 1 run on the 5th inning. And Holmes didn't return for the 6th inning. He did throw 90 pitches. That probably was the main reason why he didn't go past the 5th inning. But it was interesting to take notice that once he got into trouble, he wasn't giving that extended rope that he was in the prior 3 outings. Now, his final line was 5 innings pitched. He allowed 1 run on 2 hits, 2 walks, and he did strike out 8. So Brazoban lowered his ERA to 0.79, pitching another 2 scoreless innings. Reed Garrett and Ryan Stanek threw a scoreless inning apiece, each striking out 2 batters. Juan Soto got his first RBI with runners in scoring position, hitting a 2-run home run, his 2nd home run of the season in the 7th inning. Pete Alonso went 2 for 2, had 2 more walks, drove in his 19th RBI this season. Vientos picked up his 4th double and 4th RBI this season, going 1 for 4. Luis Angel Acuna got to start at second base. He went 2 for 3 for walk. He stole a base, scored 2 runs out of the 9th spot in the order. Game 2 of this series will have Tyler McGill looking to pick up his 3rd win of the season. He goes up against the Twins' Bailey Ober. Bailey has a 7.11 ERA in the young season, but his last start was his best so far. He went 6 innings, gave up only 1 run on 5 hits. I'll be back to provide a recap of that game, but until then, Mets fans, let's go Mets.